Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. We'll get started in just a moment. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Top 10 Food Service Trends of 2021. And it's presented by Lakeside and Multiperia. I'm Jessie Dufort, Digital Marketing Specialist with Lakeside Manufacturing, and I'll be your moderator today. So with hundreds of hours invested into operator surveys, conversations, trainings, research, we've identified 10 food service trends to help you rise into the new year. Leading the presentation today are Nancy Lane of Lakeside and Mary Sauer of Multiperia. Nancy is a designer specializing in visual merchandising and product concepts and knows that a dining experience is more than great food. She has played a vital role in remodeling college and university dining facilities to enhance customer experiences, improve operational efficiencies, and increase revenue. Mary is a seasoned professional with 30 years experience in the food service industry with a never-ending passion and focus on customer support. Mary's area of concentration is on generating opportunities and marketing initiatives, as well as staying appraised of current trends in the market to help identify equipment needs. So today, we're going to learn the top 10 food service trends in 2021, how other businesses and industries are adapting, and how to implement these strategies for yourself. So with that, Mary, I'm going to leave you to kick us off with the first trend.
Thanks, Jessie. So our first trend is connecting. Sharing a meal can unite us through powerful experiences that go beyond what is on the plate. Personal interaction has never looked more different. No longer do people plus plates equal place. From virtual dining rooms to meal kits, the traditional experience and socialization of noshing continues to drastically change. And yet, it surprisingly is able to keep the same elements of personal connection and engagement of the senses.
Some of the micro trends that we see in connecting is social media, virtual events, unique delivery systems, outdoor venues, and mental health. So online cooking classes, meal kits, takeout, beverage, music, ambiance, pairing, and then tableside service for dining. You know, we're in the Zoom world now, and if you asked me about a year ago if I would be virtual, I would say no. But we have embraced this, and we are definitely doing a lot with Zoom meetings and virtual. So the people that are working remote, some of the BNIs have been asked to put some meal kits together, and then they send them off to the team members, and that way that they can feel like they're connected. And then parents and kids are also taking a lot of virtual cooking classes because they are at home. And there is a live cooking class with Donna. She is over in Rome, Italy. And you're able to take this virtual cooking class, which I'm going to sign up for, and learn how to make pasta. So meal kits have also grown in this market. They've grown in all the markets from CNU to K through 12 to healthcare, plus home delivery kits. One university was able to bring in an extra $100,000 last semester just by having the meal kits. For fine dining, we've been finding out that they've been sending off the meal kits, but sometimes they come with the supervision of a chef, which really helps you to prepare the meal and helps you with pairing of the beverages. And this has been a huge hit. But the other thing that I've heard from the chefs is to say, make sure that you look at meal kits that travel well. The tableside branding program, you'll see a lot more of this in 2021, and you can see it up here in the photo to the right. This would be a tea cart that rolls up to the table, and you have the tea mixologist will mix up the different teas, and you can enjoy that with your meal, and then you can take some home for later. Maybe you want some for sleeping or other different reasons, antioxidants, and then they'll mix up your teas for you. Thank you campaigns, unique outdoor venues and settings, and then handwritten thank you notes. Oh my gosh, this is so important more than ever before. We're hearing from students getting thank you notes to curbside deliveries or deliveries to your home, having a little thank you note on there. That personal touch goes a long way, and it connects with the customer. Up here in the photo to the right, you can see this is at a university. They're packing the meal for the student. And then they put a sticker on there that says made by, and they put the name of the employee on that sticker. Hospitals are also doing the same thing. They're adding that little note to the top of the meals that are being delivered to the patients in the hospital. You know, with a limit of visitors, this helps the patients connect. And, you know, at the current time, it is so important that we get these students back to in-person classes. We've heard a lot of that on the news here lately. You know, the mental health and the social interaction of the students is so very important. The School Nutrition Association has been doing some tracking, and students started to, the highest point of virtual was at Labor Day. There was about 62% of the students who were being virtual. And now today it's down to 38%. So we're seeing the flip switch to more in-person classes, especially at the beginning of February. There was quite a few schools that were going to go ahead and start doing that with the students. So we also have distance dining. It's outdoor, carry-out, curbside, delivery. You know, that outdoor oasis is more important than ever before. You're starting to see more open-air activities done. You know, it affects the well-being of the customer to feel like you're outdoors. You know, businesses, you can replicate some of that and take it outdoors by building a temporary structure. Here's another great example. If you look at the photo to the right, that's a huge tent. They basically took the dining hall and moved it outside, and they have it under a huge tent. So again, it is so important for the well-being of the customer to feel safe. There's all different kind of combinations happening out there with the outdoor oasis. Car hops are making a comeback. Oh my gosh, you know, the new cafe is the curb. Anyways, the bellhops, the, you know, streamlined guest experience. It's even, you know, with tablets being used in the drive-through lanes and curbside pickups, both of which are operated by a concierge service, a team of members. It's like bellhops. So again, you're starting to see that change over to things being done more in person, being outside. And then also to the labels for the K through 12 students. They are so, it's amazing when you see them open their lunch bag and they're virtual, you know, at home learning, but when they pick up their lunch and they take it home with them, it's like it connects them back to what they had before. And then they get that special note from someone. It's so very important.
So our next trend is social responsibility. Connecting with eco-conscious consumers and creating sustainability through socially responsible business practices. With the added pressure from Gen Z, an existential view of consumption is going further than it's ever gone before. How and why we consume are being put to a litmus test and exerting pressure to limit resource-depleting waste, frivolous consumption, and turning the tables to focus on the ability to repurpose.
So the micro trends that we're seeing is waste reduction, composting, recyclable materials, changing in packaging, and reusability. You want to reduce the processing, so less sugar, less salt, and you want reduced meat, that's healthier. And then you also want reduced waste, that lowers the cost and it streamlines production. All of these will impact the climate in some way or another. So with feedback from all the markets, you know, they are going to be looking at compostable takeout packaging, equipment recycle and composting, smaller flexible meals, menus, and then water saving, and also too multi-use equipment. So when we got the feedback from all the different segments and we've been listening to over the past few months, everyone has the same thing, is that they put sustainability on a pause button. So if you can imagine, they're just going to pause it for the time. They're in emergency mode right now, you know, and it's very critical, but they will circle back. They are going to go back to what they were, you know, had in place and keep moving forward with sustainability. So we've heard from all the markets, and they definitely are looking even deeper into more compostable and recyclable packaging for takeout. You know, there has been a great deal of time and research that's done on the to-go containers to make sure when you take your food out that it's appealing to the diners and it holds up. You know, it's time to look at energy waste and downsizing to the right size menu. You know, maybe the menus were too big. You're starting to see restaurants do that. So again, we need to right size the menus to fit. So right here is another great example. In the center, you can see it's 100% wheat bran biodegradable compostable bowl with the silverware. And then to the left, there's a snack and go reusable packaging system. Again, it's something that's made with materials that can be sanitized, cleaned, and reused over again. And the recyclable refillable pouches, aluminum bottle systems for 2021 are just starting. There is a plan in place to hit the shelves in Europe for the next year to enable them to estimated 200 million households to have recycle and reuse packaging. So you'll see more of this in 2021. Food waste, oh, that's always been on the top of the list. You know, embrace that root to stem philosophy. You know, approach, it's very simple. Take all the edible parts of produce and cook with them, prepare with them. Try baking the chips off the peels from the potato. Repurpose the veggie scraps into pesto. Take asparagus stems and blanch them and boil them and saute them. Great for pastas and soup. Broccoli stalks are the same way. Make it into stir fries, into slaw. Cauliflower can be used also that way. And there was one just the other day. It was an Alfredo sauce done with cauliflower. Radish leaves can be turned into pesto. You know, I was talking to my coworker, Mary, and she's really embraced this. She's challenged her girls at home, and they look at, you know, again, the root to stem philosophy. So prior to COVID, sustainable practices were the main focus and will continue to be. They're not going away. Recycle centers are more important than in the past. Now with the IW, the disposables, and the packaging, that consumers are once again focused on making sure that they're being sustainable. So stay in touch with what's very important with the generation that we're speaking to right now. They're very savvy, they're passionate, and they want sustainable practices more than ever.
So our next trend is food as fuel. People will consume food as fuel to power their day and define their lifestyles. How does food make you feel? With an emphasis on mental and physical impact, consumers are considering what, where, when, how, and why they are putting food into their bodies and on their calendars.
That is so important with the micro trends, boosting the immune system. Food is therapy and medicine, lifestyle diets, healthy beverages, and sober conscious. So make sure that you have signage that shows the benefits of the food. You know, segmented menus also help for customers that are dining out or in cafeterias. And then mocktails, it's another one. And then bulk reimbursable meal kits. So enter the ketotarian diet. It's a plant-based spin on the traditional keto guidelines. Consumers can expect to find the growing section of plant-based high-protein foods on your grocery shelf this year ahead. Many people find that food can lift their spirits during stressful times, hence it's called comfort food, which is the number one thing out there right now is the comfort food. COVID-19, you know, has altered the way that people snack. Brand owners and retailers need to shift their focus from on-the-go snacks towards at-home eating occasions while addressing that it's healthy and also, too, it's very important for their digital living. So what are some of the benefits? We were having a major discussion about this. And if you look to the left, you have the purple foods. These will reduce the high blood pressure. It helps in the reduction of high blood pressure and also cell damage. So there are some things with food and different combinations. And then to the right, you have the sea veggies. And there will be a long list coming out for 2021. It's just starting now. They're finding out there's a lot of different sea veggies that are very healthy for you. You know, food is fuel. Also, too, food is medicine. It can nourish and protect the body and boost the immune system in growing leaps and bounds. Eating boosting foods really helps your immunity. Hospital dietitians are starting to use food to help heal some of the COVID patients in their recovery. So it helps build the immune system. We're hearing a lot more about that. So we have seen a steady increase in wine and spirit sales since the pandemic. The non-alcoholic beverage sales have shown no sign of slowing down either. Drinking in 2020 was ripe for embracing the low, no alcohol beverage trend. We have this trend on our 2019 report, and it was accelerated in 2020. So the #1 trend for the Google searches for the trend mocktail increased by 42% last year. We've also seen a huge increase in outdoor bars in 2020, supporting the dining distance trend.
Our next trend is evolving venues. Reinventing how and where food is prepared, served, and consumed. Forget the traditional footprint. Grocery stores are looking more like cafes, cafes more like kiosks, and restaurants are implementing ghost kitchens and switching takeout for tables. Venues are recognizing the need to broaden offerings and experiences to have minimal square footage and contact, but keep the maximum consumer experience.
So true. So some of the micro trends, we see the C-store menu and service expansion, ghost kitchens, restaurant pods, mobile kitchens and food trucks, AI, analytics, and robotics. So here we have the frictionless, touchless, and again, finding some way to make yourself different and easy pickup options. So you will see shrinking dining rooms in 2021 for new designs and remodels. To go is here to stay. We're hearing that from every market segment. Restaurants of the future will have this unique delivery system with many options. So here's just one example. So take one location, they could have a third-party delivery pickup area. That'll probably take part of the dining room. They will also have drive-through double lanes. They will have eat-in-your-car parking lot areas. And then also a curbside pickup. This could be just one location. So again, with all these different options, it makes it a little more challenging. So the college market is looking at food trucks as a blended mobile food service solution. So if you remember the photo up in the very beginning of the big tent, well, they add the food trucks around the outside, and that, again, helps them with a food service solution to be able to feed the students. Micro markets on steroids. We've heard this, again, from all market segments, from B&I, healthcare to education. They are planning on looking at easier ways and options for contactless, touchless, and getting the food to the customer. You know, COVID moved this trend into acceleration. So one example would be healthcare. They have micro markets, and they had them before COVID, but they really have them now after COVID. They're planning on keeping the markets in place because the employees were surveyed and they said it's very convenient for them to take home a heat-at-home meal and groceries. You know, getting off a 12-hour shift, what a perfect way to pick up food and take your groceries home with you. Also, too, this came out of COVID. It's called Pop Marts. It's a containerized unit that can be placed in strategic locations. It creates the outposts, which can pull customers from more dense area locations and capture additional foot traffic. It reinforced underserved areas. This can be used from everything from convenience stores to grocery concepts to pickup stations. And then if you look over to the right, you'll see a mobile cafe. These are pop-up cafes. You may want to use it in an underutilized space, and it could be for pre-order, for pickup, for pre-packaged meals, and again, just popping it up in a location.
Our next trend is digital madness. We're moving rapidly toward a frictionless culinary experience that offers immeasurable opportunity to improve what we do. Smart technology and the Internet of Things have transformed the last decade of food service operations, employee workflows, and dining and food service experiences. The next decade will be no different. From meal subscription services, app-based loyalty programs, and ordering, to back-of-the-house automation, technology is rapidly changing client expectations, as well as how front and back-of-the-house work is performed.
So some of the micro trends in this digital madness is QR codes, facial recognition, drive-through recognition, data tracking, and robotics. And you can see right here that the equipment, we're looking at location tracking. We've talked about this with our equipment, maybe putting a little tracker on it so you can find it, automated subscription services, and projecting analytics for inventory and menu changes. Here's a great example of talking about an automated subscription service. This is a shampoo, it comes delivered to your home, and then you use it, and then the refill comes behind it, and you save the empties and send them back. So it's not going in the recycle or the landfill. They had a little clip on their site saying every piece of plastic that's ever been made still exists. And think about that. Globally, we produce 300 million tons, and we waste every year, 78% is not reclaimed or recycled. It's a lot of plastic. So again, when we talk about that sustainability, it's so very important, but it does fall into the digital world here. So here is facial recognition. It's ordering system with an app embedded, beverage machines, Wi-Fi is available in the parking lots of restaurants now. Technology is presenting the restaurant chains with unique solutions from fresh points to make you look different. And then we've already seen leading chains developing drive-throughs that make the use of artificial or AI, and with digital voice assistance for ordering and payment, license plate recognition, software that's dedicated to lanes for apps, ordering, and delivery. And the environment is contactless. Transition is more critical than ever. The convenience remains the core for the guest expectation. The newest digital tools can be central in keeping the experience safe and seamless. A lot of this stuff with the face is being done at some of the universities where you walk up and it scans your eyes or you put your finger down. So you already were doing this. I think, again, with COVID, it just accelerated a lot of this. And now with the digital madness too, during the COVID pandemic, businesses big and small look for ways to offer customers a touch-free experience. This has been around since the 90s, but it's making a huge comeback. And there's another one out there called Queue List. It's an app. You can use it to help queue up. So again, you put that up on your phone, and then you find out how many people are in the dining room or the cafeteria, and then you make sure that you want to be in line when you need to be, so that you're not with a large group. So it helps you to queue up.
Our next trend is transparency. Consumers require clarity in the end-to-end food supply chain to feel confident in their buying decisions. The impact of food on our planet and bodies is becoming better understood, and people are expecting more control, more information, and higher standards. The next generation of eaters want to know what's in their food, where it comes from, and whether it is ethical and safe to eat. The accessibility of this information is becoming more important, and consumers want to take back control.
So the microtrends are clean labels, social and ethical sourcing, regenerative agriculture. So you can see right here that using sourcing as a marketing tool, Center for Good Food Purchasing, We've got labels for all, make sure you label all your grab and go items. And again, education on the labels and what's in there. One example would be, we just had the opportunity to be with some of the food manufacturers, and we were discussing transparency. And there's an apple manufacturer, and they do sliced apples and applesauce. But they said right now you can get on their website and you can trace it all the way back to what farms and what apples were being used. And, you know, again, customers want to know where their food is coming from. Clean labels, so important. K through 12 has been doing this, I know, for the last 3 to 5 years. And they are even sourcing more clean label products than ever before. The students are demanding it. Consumers want foods with ingredients that they can recognize and feel good about eating. Here's another great example of something that came out of COVID. And this is the Real Food print. Again, this is from Chipotle, and they have an app that you can put on there, and you can look at their 53 real ingredients and track it. And again, it's putting less carbon in the atmosphere, gallons of water saved, organic land that's been supported, antibiotics that have been avoided. So this is something that you can load on your phone. With transparency, also, we have clean dining. This is out at Stanford. And this policy came in place right away. I would say by May they had this in place, if not by April. And related to the procedure manual, this is a live document that's changing all the time at the campus. You know, so as they change their guidelines or the county has regulations, they'll go into that document. But you can jump on their website and take a look at it. It's really has a lot of information, and it wants the customer to feel that they understand that they're meeting their needs during this COVID pandemic. UMass has one too. It's called Dining with Confidence. Again, they have a commitment to our customers that we will serve healthy, sustainable, delicious meals, utilizing the industry's best safe practices, building on commitment for health and safety. UMass Dining developed enhanced cleaning procedures, training the staff, as well as, tools. They continue their mission, again, for the campus life experience and creating community around the food. So there's a lot of things that are on these websites from the universities and K through 12 talking about what they're doing. Also, too, with this transparency, we got the shift to off-premise dining, and the employees, with learning and cross-training in positions, allergy awareness is more important than ever before. So you've got cross-training, and we'll be talking about that coming up here in Labor Crunch, but you want to make sure that people understand how important it is to not cross-contaminate or cross-contact when you're dealing with food allergies and intolerances. So you might use some color-coded, again, identifying it, but to prevent that contact, keep the ingredients separate. Again, during the prep time, packaging, and delivery. This is so very important with training.
Our next trend is labor crunch. Traditional operator challenges for efficiency are being challenged by a shifting workforce. The lack of available labor continues to change the face of the food service industry. Operations are beginning to supplement their existing workforce with more advanced equipment, automation, and/or robotics that leverage efficiency through design. With minimum wage hikes expected, operators will be forced to find new and innovative ways to maximize their output.
So some of the trends, or the micro trends that we saw, is the shrinking workforce, which everyone's talking about. Engagement and retention and accommodating schedules, a lot of flex schedules coming up, and then, minimum wage conversations. So with the lean principles, central commissaries and protecting your workers. Central commissaries have really taken on a very important role with the campuses, B&I, healthcare. Again, they're making the microwavable meals, the grab and go items, plus meal kits for the industry. And also keep in mind, you want to have safety when it comes to the commissaries also. Make sure that there's barriers and they're distance working apart. This is just as important as the back of the house for the restaurants or food service areas. Engaging the community for volunteering, training, cross-cultural, and also to adopting to the robotics for prep. The B&I market is talking about redesigning the labor market around the menu. So they've got some time now while they're starting to bring people back into the buildings. About 25% are back in some of the B&I buildings. They've had time to look at the menus, so they're gonna really work on their labor around what they've designed for the menu. And some of the robotics example would be the pizza robot right here. It can turn out 300 pizzas in an hour. Again, you have blended, which is smoothies. You have Sally the robot, which is salads. So there's so many different robotics coming out there. With the labor crunch, you know, the industry segment has been looking at ways to redesign the labor market around those shrinking menus. It's really about working smarter, not harder. Operators are cross-training to help their labor crunch, teaching workers to multitask. So you can assume more with one role. You can also look at the reflow of the kitchen. We have quite a few people doing that right now, and they're looking at the flow of production as it comes in the back door and heads out the other door. You know, one school purchased these narrow pallets, and they also purchased the narrow pallet jack, which allows them to fit this through standard door frames and walk-in coolers. That's so much easier than the traditional full-size one that you have to load and unload. So right there, that's working smarter, not harder. With this, we look at some equipment. So you repurpose reused equipment or purchase equipment with multifunctional that helps with the labor crunch. Here are a couple examples of equipment that can help with that and saving less trips and being more efficient. Right to the right, you can help. This will pre-sort your dishes before you take them back to the dish room. And again, the one in the middle, this is a photo. It's the current. We just had this sent in about a month ago. And this is the school district that has the carts and they lock together. So again, she can tow about 4 carts and drop those off the classroom for classroom feeding, and then go back and pick them up and take them back to the cafeteria. So again, step back, take a look at where you can save on labor.
Our next trend is local regeneration. Main Street is mainstream. Consumers are looking to connect with the micro markets around them and take a certain pride in their hometown communities and traditions. Preserving buildings, regenerating downtown areas, and hyper-local tastes and flavors are emerging trends that look to continue through 2021 and beyond.
So the micro trends here are supporting the local economies, building preservation, embracing the community traditions. And again, today, more than ever, sharing and supporting local community events. Use local ingredients, embrace the community, engage in local culture, cater to the regional taste. I think you're seeing more of this, like with the farmers and the restaurants that are run by the regional chefs, heritage centers, craft festivals. You know, the focus is on a lot of local artists. This will help support the small businesses and build a stronger sense of community. This personal commitment and interaction can lead to an improved state of social well-being. So very important. And now here also too, people are becoming more entrenched in their communities and showing support by spending and investing in local businesses and strong sense of community. It was just on the news the other day, there was a small bakery and the couple had a small child and they had opened up a bakery and he ended up not making it through COVID. So she's running the bakery with her son by herself. And the community has stepped forward to make sure that they embrace her and support her business. And to her, that is so important. So individuals staying close to home are spending more time at home and wanting to feel good about their purchases in their communities. Here's another great example. You know, anything that's helping support the small businesses and showcasing their local establishments. Farmers markets, small farmers. Here's an example of the farm to fork display, has fresh herbs, has the produce on it. There's now even spice walls, edible herb walls. There's vertical gardens, indoor gardens, outdoor gardens. You know, you're really creating that space with the plants. And the center photo is just showing you some of the gardens at some of the universities.
Our next trend is food safety. Bringing existing safety efforts and measures to the front of the house. Our perception of the world around us has fundamentally changed in 2020. It will be common for consumers to think in terms of cross-contamination, sanitation, and mitigating risk in all aspects of their lives. And no more prevalent will that be than in food service. Operators will need to bring the back of the house best practices to front of the house to reassure patrons, students, guests, and patients of safety measures in place.
And some of the micro trends with the food safety is contactless, tamper resistant, allergen awareness, outdoor dining, indoor barriers, sanitation, sanitation, sanitation. So very key is that you know, that's been number one on all the surveys. Everything that we've heard from panelists to speakers to surveys. Again, you want to make sure that you are showing people that you have sanitation. Here's another thing that you can consider is the food locker system, loud and proud, safety measures, telling people what you're doing, label all grab and go items. You know, convenience enhancing tech like secure food lockers, or they're an automated pickup system which eliminates that human-to-human contact. So you could pick up an order and it can be handed off through the locker. And again, this has been around for quite a few years. They were testing this out in the sports stadiums a few years back. But again, with COVID, it pushed a lot of stuff forward, and this is one of them. So you can walk up, scan a code, open a door automatically, reach in, take your food, walk away without touching anything, including the door if you choose not to. Here's another example of food safety. Again, number one on the consumer's mind when they're dining. Sanitation practices will include increasing frequency of cleaning sanitation areas, especially door handles, tables, any kind of flat surface or surface area. You know, and also providing the supplies is so important, from soap to alcohol-based hand sanitizers, paper towels, trash baskets, don't forget those if you could, and plus hand washing stations in the common areas. You can see another example right here. And then the tamper-resistant bags, these bags right now, they're really coming out with a great system. You can't open it unless you have some kind of scissors or something sharp. So you'll know when that is sealed up, it's sealed up until you open it. So with the increased importance of what's coming, that comes with sanitation, the operators need to bring the back of the house and their best practices out to the front of the house now to reassure the patrons and the students, guests, and patients, you know, see the safety measures in place. I know it's important for me when I go out. I'm always looking to see if they're cleaning the tables, if, you know, again, they're sanitizing, disinfecting. And the acrylic traffic walls and barriers are very important to keep people separated. Touchless hand sanitizing station, also portable hand sinks with the touchless faucets in place in entrances. You know, this encourages people to hand wash. It is the best practice to have your mobile cleaning carts out where guests can see them. Again, they want to see that you have your sanitation in place. And if you remember back at the Clean Dining from Stanford, they have a point when you go to walk into the dining area that you have to stop at a hand sink and wash your hands. So they got like these different checkpoints to get into that area. And one of them is the hand sink.
And this brings us to our last trend, which is plant forward. Consumers are shifting to plant-based foods for sustainability and health reasons. This trend has deeply embedded its roots in recent years and is here to stay. Exotic fruits and veggies from around the world are more available than ever, and demand for new and interesting flavors is growing. Expect continued innovation surrounding plant-based proteins and other meat alternatives in the coming year.
So very important. Some of the things that we're seeing is the plant-based proteins, flavor innovation, you know, again, reasonable eating habits, sustainability, and the alternatives, the plant-based alternatives. You know, plant-based has been around for quite a few years, and I thought it can't get any bigger, and it's definitely taken off. So we have earth-friendly dining. Again, what you eat matters. And did you know that you could save hundreds of gallons of water by leaving meat off your plate with one meal? Or you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions used to produce your meal by over 50% if you choose an entirely plant-based option. In the K through 12, the students and the panelists that we heard from, they want these vegetarian and vegan offers. They want to have the plant-based proteins and at center of the plate. But we've had so many of the panelists talking about this, and this is the middle school children. So again, this plant forward is definitely very important. So at the, talking about plant forward, the colleges and universities, they even have an entire vegan dining hall now. You know, and their breakfast menu includes an amazing breakfast sandwiches made with a vegan egg patty. Consumers can expect to also see mushrooms playing a starring role in the variety of new products for 2021, included blended plant-based proteins, you know, great for condiments, spices, seasoning. The mushroom mania is here. You know, again, it's really high in antioxidants and vitamins, minerals. You know, it's going to be, there's always a star veggie, and we feel that mushrooms are going to be that this year. You know, one year it's kale, next year it's Brussels sprouts, but mushrooms are really taking off. And now that we're wrapping this up, you know, again, it is so important for the consumer to embrace the plant-based menus that they want and find innovative ways to serve and elevate the menu and the offerings that you're including. So have a mobile healthy station. Operators, you know, you want to be able to serve the different kind of bowls that are out there now. There's vegan, protein, power bowls, grain bowls. Again, make sure your equipment, you can pop it up in different areas and move it around. You know, if you're only bringing 25% back to a building, you have to have some little pop-ups and make sure that you can move your stations. So we are seeing an increase in the Gen Z for more plant-based proteins. Again, when I was talking about that K through 12 middle school students, they were asking and demanding it. So wrapping this up for you today, we just want to say thank you from Lakeside and Multi-Tyria for joining us today, and also to make sure that you stay safe and healthy. And now we are going to turn on our cameras and have a little chat with you.
Thank you, Mary and Nancy, for all of your research and for sharing your findings. Coming out of these trends, I do have a couple of questions for you. The first being, out of these 10, I know it's hard to narrow it down, but what would you say has really resonated with you the most?
So I'll take that one first. Definitely plant forward in food as fuel. I think as more and more people realize the benefits of a plant-focused lifestyle and eating more selectively for the immune-boosting properties of food for health, as well as the impact on the environment, it's going to continue to grow. Speaking from a personal standpoint, if anything good came out of this past year, it's definitely adapting to a plant-based lifestyle. Spending a lot more time with family and sharing in the meal prep and meal menu planning, along with 2 adult kids who already have adapted to a vegan lifestyle, it definitely influenced me to see their passion and just to adapt to a healthier eating. And I definitely feel better, healthier, happier, and they continue to influence. So I think they're going to continue to focus on, you know, driving these changes.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with the plant-based comments. And I think with family and friends that are around me, really taking a look at really sustainability, looking at, you know, using bamboo paper towels, reusable lunch bags, shampoo bottles, and then contactless, with grocery store payments, with takeout, not needing to sign for anything, everything's just left at the door. Definitely part of the big uptick in trends that I'm seeing as well. Nancy, how about you?
Yeah, I agree that the food as fuel, you know, is essential of what you put into your body. And, you know, also too, realizing that it can help with the immune system. And people are starting to use that for healing. I'm just totally taken away with that. But also, too, local, you know, with the farmers markets and supporting that local, there's so many stories out there of people. And that's become community now for me. So I feel that's very important.
One thing I do want to go back and touch on, you glanced at it earlier in the presentation, but you're talking about the importance of cross-training. Can you expand on that a little bit more and kind of the value of what that brings for food service?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting. So, you know, going back to the college market, you have food service and then you have, you know, housing. And so when housing in the summer needed help, they ended up bringing some of the people over from food service to be able to train. So they're cross-training, and now housing, while food service is busy, they're coming over and they're training them. So when you have a labor crunch, you're short on staff, you want to make sure that you have people that are cross-trained so that they can fit in and be able to help in these different segments. I think today all of our teams were working together more than we ever have in the past.
Certainly. I guess the last one I'll leave us with here. If there was one main takeaway from all of the trainings you've attended, interviews, conversations you've had, what would be some of the biggest advice that you'd give to operators?
Well, I would say all the trends are really important. You know, we've heard a lot from each one of these. And, you know, but the one that comes to the top, and we keep hearing it over and over, is sanitation and that safety, that point of feeling safe when they walk into your location. You want to make sure, again, that you're loud and proud about that. You want to tell them what you're doing and how you're doing it. And you want them to see it. You know, before we would always say, make sure that you don't have any of that out in the front of the house. Well, now we're saying, bring that out. Everybody wants to see the sanitation, the gloves, the mask. You know, that's more important than ever before. So if you're going to walk away with anything, I think investing time and money in sanitation and that safety is more important for your customers today than ever before. But like I said, all these trends are very important. You know, we've seen so much come out of COVID. You know, like I said in the beginning, who would have thought that I would be living in a virtual world with Zoom? So, but again, safety, I think, is the number one.
Thanks so much, Nancy. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us today. As we continue throughout the year in 2021, we are going to be breaking out more specific segment-based webinars, so K-12, college and university, and giving more specific examples of how operators are adapting this year into the trends and with COVID. So we will send out a follow-up email with a recording of the presentation and a PDF. So we hope that you've enjoyed it. Share it with anyone who is unable to attend with you today. And we will talk to everyone soon. Thanks so much and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.